Hello there guys, my name is Paul, I'm here with the best tech, and today we are going to embark on a journey that will unlock the secrets to building robust, scalable and maintainable applications. In this tutorial we'll dive deep into the clean architecture principles and explore why they are crucial to developing industry grade applications. Right, so the challenge of software development, especially today, right? Creating complex applications can be very daunting. And as projects grow, code bases become basically harder to manage, and bugs begin to creep in, and making changes become even risky. And this is where clean architecture comes into the scene. Clean architecture comes to the rescue, providing us with a blueprint for designing our applications, making them flexible, testable, and easy to maintain. In this project, we are going to be looking at more than the clean architecture. We'll be looking at how to use the clean architecture and how to combine all of that with the BLoC pattern. At its core, clean architecture follows the principles of SOLID, S-O-L-I-D. If you've heard about SOLID, these are stuff that we learn in engineering classes and software development classes, but we never actually know how to implement them in when we actually start working in the software development field. But in the clean architecture, in my experience in Flutter, embodies these principles. So we have separation of concerns and we have dependency inversion. We have a lot more, right? By dividing our applications into distinct layers, we have this clear separation between business rules, presentation logic, and data handling. You might not understand what I'm saying yet, but as we start building the application, then you will understand better what I'm talking about. So basically, as you can see here, we've got these layers, right? These three layers. This is what we do in clean architecture. We have three distinct layers. We have the domain layer, which sits in between the data layer. So at the top we have the data layer, and we have at the bottom the presentation layer, or you can swap them, right? But then I prefer to have the data layer. I prefer to imagine the data layer being outside, right, being at the top, because it faces the external sources, right? So in between the data layer and the presentation layer, we have the domain layer caked up between that, right? So the domain layer will be where our business logic will reside, not the BLoC business logic. The business logic of our application would reside in there, right? So it doesn't have anything to do with any framework or any external dependencies. It will contain purely dark code. Clean architecture comes in handy as well as our application grows over time, right? It enables us to adapt and add new features without actually messing with the stability of our code base, right? And also, it's also easier to understand and modify our application over time, because everything is structured following the principles that you know for clean architecture. So when you come back later and you want to change something in a particular feature, you know exactly where to go to change that, because the architecture defines that. And finally, if you're working in a team, right, it helps also with collaboration for the teams. For example, you could have one feature. For example, if we have the authentication feature, so we can have three different people working on one feature, but then separation of concerns, meaning that they will be working on these different layers without worrying about what the other person is doing and how it affects them. Because at the end of the day, it will all come together like bread and butter. So I hope you're excited. Yeah. I'm not going to waste your time too much on the introduction. Let's dive right into it. So in this section, we will be diving into the essential concepts and techniques that will help you creating your clean architecture ridden application. So first of all, you can see we have three layers: the domain layer, the data layer, and the presentation layer, right? So let's start from the domain. So in the domain, we usually have three sub directories, right? So we have first of all the entity. The entities, as it says here, will represent the core data models of the application. They will be the blueprint of what objects you'll be passing around in your application. Take, for example, if we have a login feature, right, and when someone successfully logs in, what data do we need from the server? We need the user's data. So for that reason, we will have a data model, right? But not a model, sorry. We have a user entity, rather. So we will have an entity, meaning the blueprint that defines what structure the data will be in, or what properties a user's data will carry when it's coming from the server, right? So how is it stored on the server? What does the server give back to us? So if the server gives us username, age, and whatever there may be, I don't know if they're an admin or whatever, the entity will have all of that written inside of it to show what a user has, or what a user is meant to be. So the repositories, what do? They define the contract between the data layer and the domain layer, right? So this is basically usually done in the form of an interface, right? In other languages like Java, you can define interfaces. In Dart, we don't have interfaces, so we can mimic the functionality of an interface with something called an abstract class. An abstract class, we will see that in the course of the application, right? So these repositories in the domain layer define, so this is mostly what makes clean architecture so beautiful, right? It will define that structure. It will define, basically the structures of how stuff is supposed to look like. So this is basically the blueprint of what functionalities we will be carrying out in the application. And then finally, inside of the domain layer, we have the use cases. Like I told you before in the previous session, the use cases will represent the business logic of the application, right? So they also depend on the repository, right? So they depend on a repository. It could be any repository. This is where clean architecture shines, because it makes everything so loosely coupled, right? You could literally give it any repository that is a subclass of this repository contracts that we have over here. All right. So again, you don't have to understand these now, but this is here in case you need better understanding after the course, or midway into the course, or whenever you need to understand what we're doing. You can always come back to this session as a reference in order to better understand a particular session. So they will depend on the repository as it says here, right? And then they will call the methods from the repository to perform data operations, right? So they enforce the SRP principle, which is single responsibility principle, right? And they focus on specific functionality. So the use cases are actually the only modules in our entire domain layer that we will be testing, because at this point they're not interfaces, they're not contracts, so we have to test them because they will depend on the contract being the repository, this repository over here, and then they will embody or implement or carry out, not implementing really, but carry out the operations of that repository, right? So and then finally we are done with our domain layer and we're moving to the data layer. Now, similarly, in the data layer, we have models. Models are entities, but with extra features. So models are simply going to be extending, or I don't know, they're going to be a child of whatever entities. So if, for example, we had the user entity inside of the domains entities, and we also had maybe a buyer entity or something, a customer entity, whatever. Maybe you're building an e-commerce app, right? And we have maybe a customer entity still inside of the same entities from the same domain. Inside of the data layer of that same feature, we will also have two models that will extend those two entities. So we will simply have a user model and we will have a customer model. Right, and these models will extend the functionalities of the entities. The entities are the blueprints. The models are the implementation, right? The extension of these blueprints and then they actually add more functionality to a user. What can a user do? We have the to map, from map, the serialization basically. We have the copy with method. In there we have whatever we need inside of the model. So, and we will also be testing the models. Now moving on, the repositories in the data layer will also be implementations of the repositories in the domain layer, right? So these people over here take these contracts defined here, right, and they then implement those contracts, put them into practice. Imagine a building and construction company where an architect has drawn the plan, and then the engineer will take that blueprint and then build out the structure based on that blueprint. This is what the repositories do. So this will define the way or the format, the contract, how it basically defines how the data layer and the domain layer will interact. So basically, somehow the domain layer needs to interact with the data layer, right? So this person will define the contracts that tells us how these two layers will interact with each other, right? So in this person will finally implement that interaction. This person will carry out that interaction between the both of them. So this is where we handle essential CRUD operations, right? So over here we'll learn how the repositories manage data consistency, and it will help us also improve our code reusability. So what does this mean? Essentially, this means that the repositories depend on a data source, right? So they depend on getting their data from a data source, and the data source will in turn fetch that data from the external sources, right? So HTTP from our server or from our database or even from local storage. It could literally be anything, right? So this is why there's that great separation of concerns, because if in your data source you decide to fetch data from a different API than you were already using, right, then you won't have to change any code in your repositories, right? You will only have to change that code in your data sources, and your data sources will still return the same entities or the same models down to your other layers, right? So if we had a login feature and we're talking to a server, and at the end of the day the data sources was meant to get a user data from the server, convert it into a model, and then pass it down to the repository, right? If you change the server that you're talking to, right, you would only have to change the code in your data sources, because your data sources will still have to return the user data and also still pass it down and create a model out of it, sorry, and then pass it down to the repository. So that process is untouched. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to modify your code. You can only extend on the only in the module that you have to extend in order to get your new feature working, right? So and then we continue on from here, and then we get to the data sources. Data sources are they bridge the gap basically between our application and the outside world, right? So they query databases, APIs, even your local storage. When you store stuff on the user's device, on the user's local device, the data sources will handle getting and fetching all of that basically. So these data sources will basically depend on the external source, external packages. For example, the HTTP library, it would depend on that. If you're talking to your server using HTTP, if you're talking to your server and your server is Firebase, it will depend on your Firebase instances that you're going to be using for that particular data source. And then finally, we get out of the data layer and we move into the presentation layer, right? Inside of the presentation layer, we have our BLoC or our qubit, and these will manage the state of the UI and our business logic, right? So the BLoC will actually depend on the use cases that we've defined over here, right? So the use cases are link to the presentation, to the UI. So the BLoC will listen to the use cases. The use cases will rather listen to the repository, this repository, and in our implementation, we will link that repository. Remember, the repository is defining a contract of how to communicate with our data layer. So the repository that we will depend on in our use cases will simply be from the data layer, right? Which will implement that contract over here. So in turn, that repository will talk to a data source. The data source will get the data, come back to the repository, bring it back to the use cases. The use cases will bring it back to a BLoC inside of a presentation layer. And finally, the BLoC will emit a state to the UI, and the UI finally listens to it and updates accordingly, right? So this might sound a lot more confusing right now because it's just spoken word, but once we start implementing, you will find it a lot easier than it sounds. It's a lot easier than it sounds. It sounds like a task. It might be a lot of boilerplate code, but it's worth it on the long run. So finally, we have our test-driven development. Now, TDD, when we're following TDD, it means we test before we implement. So if we were going to implement, maybe in the data source, if we're going to implement a data source, before actually writing the data source implementation in your test, you define how that implementation should work. So if this data source should return a user, you write a test that makes sure, or that defines, look, after this function runs, it must return a user. When you run your test for the first time, it will fail, obviously, because you have not implemented it yet. But then after you write that test, you then write your implementation based on that test in order to make the test pass. If you follow this rule, then surely you will have less bugs because you're writing in a test-driven way. You're writing to make sure that your tests pass. And if you're writing to make sure that your tests pass, meaning that your code is quality, like it's got quality, it's gonna pass tests, right? So because tests are there to test us, they're there to make sure that we're following what we're expected to follow, right? So finally, how do all of these layers get connected? Right, remember that the BLoC will depend on use cases depend on repositories will depend on data sources, and so on. Data sources will depend on external packages and external sources. So the question is, how did they get linked? Remember, the main purpose of this is to have a loosely coupled, we call it loose coupling, loosely coupled architecture, right? So in order to have these loosely coupled architecture, all these loosely coupled layers come together, rather, we use something called dependency injection. And this is where we have the term in the principles of solid, right? We have 5 principles of solid, but then I'll talk about them later. But then this is where dependency inversion comes in, right? Where we invert all of our dependencies and we inject, basically, we inject the dependencies into each other the way they want them, right? And it also helps because we don't have to instantiate classes more than once. We instantiate them one place, and whenever we need them in our application, we can easily get access to, right? If you are confused by what I'm saying heavily, if you don't think this course is for you, if it's too heavy, by the way, this course, I don't think it's beginner friendly. It's not beginner friendly. You should already have some grasp of how Flutter works, of how widgets and all of the basics. You should basically have the basics of Flutter down. This is the next step in your Flutter journey. If you already have the base down, then this course will be for you. If you don't already have it down, there's already a course that's beginner friendly on this channel. Link in the description below. I'll also put it up on the screen when I'm editing. So the link will be there for you. You can visit that course and follow that course in order to learn the basics of Flutter. By the time you're done with that and you're comfortable with Flutter basics, then you can come back here and learn how to write industry standard code. Alright, so now we're done with explaining the clean architecture. Let me tell you how clean architecture embodies the principles of. Now, before we go to the actual home subject, you can see this shadow overflowing, so let's go to our Tinder card. I'm actually just obliterating this box shadow and removing it totally. And we can see, no, wait, let's not remove the entire box shadow. I think it's too bland. I need some live to it. It looks too dead. Alright, so this, well, alright, so how about 10? Or just fine. That's 10. You know what? You could do whatever you want with the shadow. You could remove it, whatever you want. I don't know what I want with this. It looks alright. But this, let's see. Oh, alright. I'll manage this. How about your stack? Where is it called? It's called in here. So the stack, I'm gonna use click behavior. Set that to none. Yeah, that didn't change anything at all. Yeah, so it doesn't matter for us really. So let's go build out these subjects. So where are we? We're in the core, closing down the core. We should be in the home, and the home alone. So in the home refactors, we've got home subject, new dart file, home subjects. Now the home subjects, import material. Now for the home subjects, since I'm already fetching all the subjects, all the courses over here, so we can call this home courses, whatever. The home courses are already being fetched, so I just want to be able to pass them down here. So constant sized box. Let's take 20. I think 20 is alright. Now, what is your problem? You don't want the constant. Fine. Don't get the constant then. Now the home subject, stateless home subjects. Now the home subjects will of course need every course or every subject. But we've already created them here, so I'm just going to pass in these subjects down there. So for this, final list course, courses are not subject. Let me not be that lazy, require this dot courses. Then over here we could home subject. We can pass down the state dot, no, the courses actually. Then this will no longer be a constant. So we'll have to add constants to each of you. Boom. Boom. Alright, done. Now we've set our home subjects. Let's go ahead and build it out. So we've got a column. Now main axis size will be minimum. And the main line and the cross alignment rather, cross axis alignment will be start. Now it's children. Now this will be a similar approach to a lot of stuff, to our home courses, to our home videos, and I think other screens will also implement this style as well, where we have a header, that we have the little section children or something. So let's go ahead and create a widget separately for that, where we have this see all type of stuff. So see all, and then you have a few of them listed out, and you can see them all later. A section header will go in the widget of home. So dart file section header. Now the section header will be another stateless widget. Stateless. It will be called section header. The section header will have a row. It will be main axis alignment, will be space between. Now it will have the children text. Now we have the section title to be the text. Let's call that section title. Let's take that in the constructor. Now its style will be constant text style. Font size will be 16 or 18 will be great. Font weight will be, no, not bowed, maybe semi-bowed, 600. Now after that, we could go on to say, so now we should have a boolean for COR. So if the section has a COR for it, so because some sections might not have the COR property, or in some cases, not that they won't have a COR case, but like, for example, if we will only display 4 video or 4 courses on the screen, and then if it's more than 4 courses, then we add the COR property or the COR button. When they click on that, it takes them to the page where they can view all courses. So in that case, we have a condition for our COR. So we don't want to show the COR button when there's less than 5 courses, or we've got exactly 5 courses, or how many other courses we want to display on the screen, because we don't want to display all of them. So in a similar manner, we want a boolean to tell us COR, whether we should display the COR or not. So if COR is true, then we want to return a text button, which on click of it should take us to the full view of the page. Now we don't know what we're using this for, whether we're using it for the courses or for the videos or whatever we're using it for exams, whatever. So we will, in that case, make this pretty dynamic. So the style will be text button.style from. Now we want the padding to be 0. No, not matrix 4. Edge inset dot 0. We want it to have no splash when we tap on it. This is the only reason why I'm doing this. So splash factory. No splash. We don't want it to show that thing when you tap on it and you see that fill up, that little filly uppy thing. This, yes, this. We don't want that. So that's what we're removing with the no splash. So on pressed, we want to have a dynamic on pressed. So that will also be final void fallback on COR. So on COR tapped or on COR. Now style, sorry, I'm still in a text, right? So its child will be a text. COR. Style will be text style, and it will have font. No, let's leave it at 14. Font weight will be font weight .w500. Color will be primary color. Noise. Boom. We've got a section header at final fields. Rearrange them. Comma. Rearrange. Close. Go back to our home subjects and start the section header. So the very first section header will have a section title that's courses. COR will be if the courses dot length is greater than 4. If it's not greater than 4, we want to show all courses, all 4 of them, without showing the COR button. Now on COR, we will push with the context tab navigator, because we don't want to override our navigator. So context.push, and we will push and a view. So right now I'm just going to put a placeholder, but later on we're going to push an all subjects view or something of the sort, something that will show the user all the subject. So that's right. Constant modifier. We could close you down. Now for after the section edit, we can have a text that says explore for our courses. Style will be text style with font weight. We have W500. We have the color to be the neutral text color. After the text, let's add a little sized box with height 20. Now after that, we can add a row. Let's make it start as well. So cross axis alignment, start. The main axis should be space between. Now the children, we will use the courses and then we take. Now I could have used sublist, but sublist will fail when the number of courses is actually less than 4. So if I use sublist from 0 to 4, it will fail if we're less than 4. However, take will take only 4, whether it's greater than or less than 4. If it's less than 4, it will take everything. But if it's greater than 4 or equal to 4, then it will take exactly 4. So let's return a course style that I'm going to create right now. This is our children, and then we do .toList as always. Wait, where does my map end? No, that's not my map. This is my map.toList. Now we create a course style and we return that course style over here. But we don't have that course style yet, so let's go ahead and create the course style in our widget. Now the course style, we're actually going to use the course style in a lot of places. That's not only here, because in the all subject, when we show all subjects, we will also display all subjects with the same tiles that we use in displaying them here. When we go to our document, we'll also use the same tiles. If you look at the design, they're all the same. This is why I've abstracted it into course style. So let me find my core, common widgets, create a course style, dot file. Now the course style will be another stateless widget. Import material. The course style will be a stateless widget, less course style. Now what is it going to look like? Let me build out what I can see from the UI. It's going to be let's give it a sized box because we need to fix the width of it. Sized box with a width of 54. The child will be a column. Its children will be a sized box. Height of this will be 54 and width of this will be 54. Its child will be image.network, and we can use the course.image, and we will take the course in the constructor. We also need this to be tappable or clickable, so let's take a void callback so that on top of it, it takes them to the course details. Void callback on tap. The argument string, blah blah blah, whatever. The image will not be null. I'm kind of short of that though, so height 32, width will be 32 as well. Fit, let's use cover. You can play around with the fit a little bit. I don't think cover will work in all cases, so let's just go with cover. Now we will have a constant sized box, height 5. What is the problem? Sized box, capital B, camel case. Now we've got a text widget with course.title, and we will align this center. And finally we have our style, which will be text style with a font size of 12 and a font weight of Semibode W600. Add constant by course style, first style. We take the course style here, and then it requires some things from us, so let's go ahead and provide those things. Now it will require the course, which we will provide as the course, and finally it will require an ontap, which we will handle later, where we navigate or dot of context dot push named, or for this case we push yet. Later we change this to push name, but we create the course details page. So push, let me add it to do course details, change to push named, and go to route to and route. Let's just say on route. I don't want this to span into the next line. So we push a placeholder. No. How do I do this? Let's push named. Let's push named. We push named to unknown route. So that way will take us to page on the construction. Now when we do that, when we go to that details page, the details page, we will create the details page to also take the course. Because when we're displaying the details of a course, then we need the course. So we will take that in arguments. No, not here. In the push named arguments, we will pass down the course. So we will receive the arguments in the router and send it over to whatever screen needs it when we're instantiating it, basically. So this is our course style. We've got Flutter and Dart. This is Flutter and this is Dart. We've got our course styles here. After that, we go into the course style and use our ontap. So we can wrap this in a gesture detector. So we've got the gesture detector, and on top of it, we ontap. Yes, so I'm actually going to pad this either way. Pad this a little bit on the right. Let's see what it looks like. On the right, we use pin. Nah, I don't like it. It doesn't look uniform. Remove this widget. Leave it this way. Beautiful. Now, next up, I'm going to build the all subject view when we have more than one subject. So for that, I'm actually just going to spam the server and add more causes with probably no images. So enter course title will be what? React Native. No description. Or should I give it a description? Let's give it a description. Description for React Native. Done. and course added. We have 1, 2, let's add one more, Python. Done. Add. We add one more, and that will be. So we've got 4 at this point. But for the CO to happen, we need this to be greater than 4, else it won't show. So let's add one more. Give me one. Give me one. Cyber security. Security. Blah 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 blah. We hit done. We add. So let's go to our home. Do a hot restart. Let's see what we've got. As that loads, let's go ahead and create the all subjects view. So you can go into our courses, data, no, not in the data presentation. We can create a views, new data file, views, all courses view. We can go home and we can see all of our courses. We have cybersecurity, Python, React Native, Flutter. Yep. So we can go to see all and we can see the placeholder. So for now, we've got a placeholder there. So let's go ahead and build out the all courses view. Import material. We have a stateless widget. All courses view will take a list of courses. We take the list of courses here, this dot courses. And then we replace this with a placeholder. Return a scaffold. Background color will be white. Extend body behind that bar will be true because we've got a gradient. Now the app bar will have an app bar with a trailing icon of a search that we never use. So on pressed, nothing happens. The icon will be console icon, icons dot search. Done. So the app bar is done. Let's move on to the body. The body will be a gradient background with image as the home gradient background. Child will be a column. I'm looking at this. That looks like it has a cross-axis alignment of start. Forgive me that you're not seeing the Figma UI that I'm looking at. So let me refresh this. Let me connect them so that this works properly. Push to the all courses view and pass down the courses. So that this way you can see what I'm dealing with. So let's restart. As that restarts, let's go ahead and continue building. So I've got my cross-axis start. The children, let's see. I think there's some space at the top, so constant sized box. Height will be 20. This should actually be padded a little bit, I think. Away, so the entire body should be padded a little bit. Yeah, so this is what we have. So the entire body looks padded. So it's got some padding with all 20. Now the constant padding, I also want on the left actually 20 for this all subjects thingy. So we have only left 20. Now the child will be a text widget. We have all subjects. Style will be text style with font weight semi-bold. Font size. If you're designing from your Figma and you see semi-bold, just know it's 600. The medium 500, light 3, and so forth. Normal. I think they write normal in case of 400s. The 400 is either normal or regular. But for a long time since I saw the wording for 400. So now after that, still inside of our column, we can minimize this. So let's see padding, close down padding. Now after that, we have constant sized box. Let me add some height 30. Why isn't it showing up? All right, there it is. Now we have a center. I'm going to use a wrap instead of a grid. Wrap, because I know how to use this. Children, we take that from the courses.map every course. Now for every course we return the same thing we had before, a course tile with the course as the course. On top of it, you know what? Home subjects, copy this. Course tile, where is it? Right here. So on top of that, get me the course tile that I'm taking from here. So undo. Get me a course. Get the course tiles, and that's it. Got 2 lists. Boom. Done. Oh, that's ugly. So let's start editing this. So spacing will be, let's give 20. Nice. The run spacing, I think 40 should be great because it's 20 on this axis. So on the next one, this will be probably great. Run alignment, space evenly. Yep. So I'm satisfied with that. What is your problem? Comma. And a where? Exceeds 80. So I'm pushing you to the next line. This is why I hate long to-dos, because they no longer glow orange when I split them to the next line. If you have any idea of how to fix that, then you tell me. I don't know. I have no idea at all. So we've built our all subjects. Now the wait. No. All subjects? Really? I thought all subjects was meant to be just to overtake everything, or was that for the course details? Yeah, that was rather for the course details. From what I can see here, the all subjects, I actually thought previously that the all subjects was meant to hijack the entire screen, so have its own navigation stack. But yeah, from the UI I'm looking at, it's just a few, so what was I talking about, in here, my app bar, I should have a leading, which will be a nested back button. Beautiful. So now, because we have this nested back button here, whenever I tap on this, it will actually go back. Nice, do you see that? And it refetches my data, whatever. It is so beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Great job. Ooh. So next up, let's build the course details. So for the course details, I'm closing this down. So we have views. I'm gonna have the course. We're still under course, right? Yes, we're still on the course. So on the course, we have new Dart file. Let's go with course details view screen, because it's an entire screen on its own. So course details screen. So we have a stateless widget, course details screen. We import material. Now remember, it's giving the details, so it will take a final course. Also, now I'm going to pass in the course over here because it's course details. Now, since it's going to have its own navigation stack, like it's going to be part of the main navigation stack, not our custom navigation stack, we will have to create a route name for this. Static const route name course details. So we could go to our router. Oh, sorry, the router main.darts rather. We can come to the very last place in case course details screen dot route name. We can return the page builder, and we've got, oh my, constant course details screen, and we can use the settings dot arguments as a course. Yes, so format close. And what am I doing? Yes, this is correct. So settings dot invalid constant, we remove the constant. Settings as course, add a null check. Now we've injected that into the router. We could come back here. How about we restart and then we tap on it to see the details. Oh, we actually haven't even implemented this into our on taps. So we could go to our to-dos and find the on taps where we do that. It should be in the home. Push named, and we push named to be course detail screen route name, and we also have this. Let's remove this. We also have this in the course, either in the views. No, not this. Change to. What do we have in the widget? Send notifications. No, we're looking for this person, so we can use the course details screen route name. And that's it. So we can come home, tap on Flutter, and we've got a placeholder. So all courses view, close. Down here, we start by returning a scaffold with background color white. Send body behind that bar true as always. The app bar will have a title. which will be text widget with course.title. Now the body will be a gradient background. Image will be res.home gradient, home gradient background. The child will be a safe area. The child of that safe area will be a list view. The list view will have a padding of edge insets.or20. I love to do this with all my list views. I just pad it all the time. Always padded. Never leave a list view unpadded is my golden rule. Size box will be height. Now it's going to have a height of let's use the context of height. So 30% of the screen. And its child will be centered image. Child image.assets. Let's use the course. No, in the UI that I have, we show the meditation res, so we could either use that or use the actual course's picture or image. However, let's just go ahead with what we have on the UI. Res dot. That was casual meditation. Yeah. I do think using the course.image will be better. So let's use the course.image, and if it's empty, so course.image is not equal to null. Use image.network with course.image. Else use the image assets. Beautiful. Now after the image, let's save. We've got a sized box, yes. So for Flutter, we've got this beautiful dash atar. For the sized box, after the sized box, we've got another sized box. This time with height 20, it will be our spacer, and then we will start building out the rest of it. Now we have a column with cross-axis alignment start. It will have children with a text widget, the course title, the style, which will be constant text style, font size 24, font weight, let's use semi-bold. Now after that, we add a comma, add one more constant sized box, now we need to add the description. However, the description, what I have in the UI is a description which, when long, you should be able to see read more. Tap on it, expands and shows read more instead of displaying the entire thing. So let's go to my courses, find Flutter, and give a long description about Flutter. So this is React Native dot Flutter. Yes. So we edit the description for Flutter. Let me find a Flutter description. Flutter framework. I'm searching for Flutter framework. Flutter is an open source UI, blah blah blah. which was released in May 2017. I don't care, but I'm just gonna paste that here. Update. Wow. Wow. So that's a lot of text to put in there. So let's go back to our UI, our code rather, not the UI. So in our code, we will put down the description. However, if we just put that down, if the description is super long, so for example, text, the description is, not the description rather, the text that we're going to have here will be the course.description. No, it's actually nullable. So if the course.description is null, no. We only add this if course.description is not equal to null, then we add this. Now, if the description is not null, then it will be super long. So for example, course.description, and you can see how long Flutter. No, this isn't Flutter's description. Let's go back because we passed this down from here. We can see why having a stream is important. I now regret not making this a stream. Let's go into our CO and come back so it reloads everything from scratch. Now we can go into Flutter. Still doesn't load it. Wow. Let's do a hot restart. Come right back. So while the hot restart loads, let's go ahead and create our expandable text widget. Hopefully that completes in time. So this is the plan. We need to create a widget that detects the length of our text, and if it's too long, it will show a read more. If it's not too long, it will display the text the way we want it to be displayed. So yeah, this is loaded. Let's go home and tap on the Flutter. Beautiful. Still says learn Flutter from beginners, or beginners rather, not from beginners. Do I have no internet? So let's refresh the Cloud Console and see if Flutter has actually changed. Oh wow, it wasn't saved, really. Again, I'm going to paste that and update and do a refresh of the page. Let's see if that works. Alright, so that's saved now. Let's see. Let's go back and come back in. Go see all, come right back, load this. Yes, beautiful. So you can see how long that is. It's super long. We don't want that to be that long on the page. If it was longer than that, then it will span even longer, which we don't want. So let's go ahead and build the expandable text. So for that, we can go in the core, common widgets, new Dart file, expandable text. Now for this, we can create import material, stateful. Now, what is this text going to have? First of all, let's take the actual text, string text, the style, which will be nullable. Add final fields, move this to the start, and that's it. Now, here's where the main work starts, the main job starts. So let's build out the functionality for expanding the text or for setting the expansion. So the first thing we will need is the boolean to know if the text has been expanded or not. False. Now we need a text span, which will be a text span. We need a late text painter. Now we override init state. Now, before the super init state, before we initialize the super's init state, we will create our stuff. Now we initialize the text span and make it to be equal to the Flutter text span, and we start giving it properties. Now its text will be the widget.text. Its style will be widget.style. If it has a style, then we copy that style with color being color neutral text color. Its children will be text span children. It will have a text span. Its text this time will be if it's expanded, we write show less, else we write show more. Now its style will be our own text style with color as primary color. Whatever our primary color is, that's what we want it to be. Font weight will be medium, or sorry, semi-bold. And that's it. Now, the text will be tappable, so we need to add a recognizer. So still under the text span, we add a recognizer, and that will be a tap gesture recognizer. Come on, show it to me. Yes, perfect. So we initialize it and we hijack it on tap. Now on tap will be equal to an anonymous function that will set state and set the expanded to be a toggle. So expanded will become the opposite of expanded. If it's true, it becomes false. If it's false, it becomes true. Now we close this bit down. Now what we're going to do is to use the text painter, or we initialize a text painter and we use a text painter to measure the text and see if it will span over 2 lines. If it spans over 2 lines, then we trading comma. Yes. So boom, close this down, close this down. So as I was saying, if it spans over 2 lines, sorry, if it's expanded, then we let it span over 2 lines. If it's not expanded, we don't let it span over 2 lines. So our text painter will be equal to text painter now this text painter will have text, which will be the text. It takes a text span, so we've initialized that text span, take that text span, and we take a text direction dot left to right. It takes max lines. Now if expanded is true, we make it null, else true. We only let it span for 2 lines. Now we also call the layout on this in order to lay out or paint. We use it to paint what we've just constructed. Now we need to get the width. But if I use the context.width from here, we need to get the width of the screen actually. But if I use the context.width from here, at this point the context will not work because we haven't initialized the state yet. We've not even built anything yet. So I'm actually going to take the context from here. So this dot context. So over here, so I'll take the context from the previous screen, final build context. That way it's a lot better because we've got the context of the page where we're trying to paint this. Because this won't be a page, this will be just the text's context. So we can take widget.context.width and we take 90% of it. Then after that we can override this pose And before we dispose, we can dispose our text painter. Text painter.dispose. This is high level Flutter. I've learned this from the Flutter YouTube channel where we had some Flutter. I've forgotten what we call those. What that series is called. It's still ongoing actually. Started earlier 2023. Teaching about how to paint without using widgets and stuff. That's how I learned about text painting and text pans as well. So, but I've incorporated them with my widget instead of creating my own Flutter components. So let's go ahead and return a container. Now I need to have a default text style for this. Now my default text style, let's make it a constant. Default style equal to text style. Height will be 1.8. This is from the Figma. The font size will be 16. This is what I have for this description from Figma, but we can overwrite that for other screens where we need them. We will use the neutral text color, and that's it. Now in the container, we will have a child. Now the child will be if the text painter did exceed max lines. If we've exceeded the max lines, we use rich text. We use rich text to paint, else we use just a normal text widget. Right, widget.text style default style. Now with a rich text, let's go ahead and paint with a rich text. So with a rich text, its text will be a text span. Its text will be, if it's expanded, we use widget.text, else we can use widget.text.substring, and we can take from 0 to text painter dot get position for offset. And what offset are we going for? We're going for the offset of the widget.context.width and widget.context.height. So the width and the height of the previous screen. Now, get position for offset. After we do that, we need to get the offset from here. 1, 2, yes, dot offset. So get that offset and pass it down there to the get position for offset. So we get the offset from the offset object that we've just created, and we use that. So we do that and we add dot dot dot. So that with dot dot dot, show that there's more. So boom, at trading comma. Now after that dot dot dot, it will come here and show less or show more. Sorry, show more rather. So do I need to add commas? Probably. Right, no, I don't think I need a comma there. I need a comma here, however. So let's see how that formats. Pretty decent. No. Yes. After the comma. Alright, I think that's enough. Got one here as well. No, we don't need anything there. So we paint with that as the text. Now its style, so where does the text end? Ends right here. No, wait. Text span right here. So right after the comma, we have a style, and it will be the widget.style, else use the default text style. Now we add one more comma and add the children. So the children will be. Let's see what we've built so far though. So we can use the expandable text over here. And then we can add the context, and the text can be the course.description. So let's see what we've got so far. So we've got this, right? but we can't see the show more or show less. With a comment. So over here, I'm actually going to wrap that over here instead. So instead of leaving it at the top because it doesn't show up, I'm going to wrap that in here with the children. So text span, we have the text be the same thing as what we had up there. If it's expanded, we use show less, else show more. We don't want any space for the show more, but when it's show less, we want some spacing. Now, with this, we could go ahead and add a recognizer over here. On tap will be equal to expanded will be equal to, if it's not expanded, the inverse is the case. Then we've got the style. Now the style will be constant text style. No. Probably still sat in here. So this has style, yes. Text style. With a color, that's colors. Primary color. I've got font weight W600. We can add const. Add a comma. So now how all of that would work will be with all of these there. When we have a long text, this is why what the did exceed max lines does. When we have a small a long text, it will show the show more, build out with the rich text and the rest of them. However, when we have a shorter text, there will be no show more. I actually don't think we need the rest of the children and the style in here, because actually this should probably work without this. So let's go back and hot reload. So that works. Let's see how it works for this Flutter longer text. Yeah, so that works. Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's basically what we have to do. So next up, let's build out the rest of this. No, not this. The rest of the details rather. So we're going to show some details over here. The remaining details that we have to show would be number of exams, the number of materials, and the number of videos available for the particular course. For that to happen, we go back to our course details screen. After showing the expandable text, we could go ahead and add one more check. So we can check if course dot number of materials is greater than 0, or course dot number of videos is greater than 0, or course dot number of exams. So if any of them are available, if any of them have any data, we want to render this list that we're about to pass. Now the list will start with a size box. Now inside this list, we'll also go ahead and add more checks for each individual item. So now we're checking if any of these are available. Render this list. Now inside this list, we could go ahead and add the size box. You might wonder why we didn't check them one after another, because if I checked if number of materials was available, then I'd have to render if the number of materials was available. However, I actually want this to be empty if none of them are available. But if any of them was available, even if it was 1 or 2 or 3, we want to render the title of that section. So that section is called the subject details. So let me show you what I mean so you're not confused. So constant text subject details. So this is a title. Style will be text style. And we have a font size of 24. We have a font weight of W600. So this is the point, yeah. So if any of them are available at all, then we can render the header of that section. If none of them are available, we don't even want to render the header at all. So if we went ahead and used and checked one after another, if course.number of materials is greater than 0, then render the number of materials. Then what are we going to do to the title? How are we going to specify to not show the title if nothing is available? This is how we do it. This is what I'm doing. Now, after checking if any of them are available, we want to render section header. Then we start checking them one after another, see if they're available. So let me see. So if course number of videos is greater than 0, then we want to render a separate list for that. So give me a bit. Now I'm back. So what are we going to render? If a constant number of videos is available, first of all we put a space between the title and this. So constant size box. Height will be 10, and then we render the information for it. So this is what I'm going to do. In order to bake this, when the course is received, I'm actually going to override this in the build method, where we have final course will be equal to course this.course as course model dot copy width number of videos to be 1 or 2. Number of materials. Let's do number of videos first. Then we can use that course. So now when I save this, you can see the title appear because I've overridden this and it's detecting that we've got 2 videos, which we don't have. But so I'm doing that for testing purposes only, or for building out the UI. So when we actually start adding stuff, it will work. So what are we going to add here? We want to add a course style, a style that will display the number of videos and write some text, and then it should also be tappable. On top of it, we want to take the user to that particular section. So if it's number of videos, we want to display a tile, like maybe a container that's tappable. And on top of that container, take us to the videos for that course. Take us to a page, all videos for that course, a page that displays all videos for that course. If it's for exams, take us to a page that displays all exams for that course, so forth and so on. So that would be pretty long to build out here, so I'm just going to create a separate widget for that. Close this out. Now in my core widget, new Dart file, it's going to be called course info tile. Import material. It's going to be a stateless widget. Course info tile. I'm putting this in the core because on the UI we have a similar tile in the in the exam section for displaying information about the exam. So now we can return it's going to be tappable, so let's start with a gesture detector. On top of it, let's take the on tap in the constructor. What else would we need here? We need void callback. on tap, we need the image, we need the title, and we need the subtitle. Subtitle gives us some description about that particular feature. Put these before format, add a comma, and reformat. So we take the on tap. Now the child will be a row. Its children will be the first one. Let's save this so we can see it over there. Let's go add it so we can see it as we build it out. Now it will be a course info tile. With the image, let's use, this is for video, so I think we've saved it, course info video. Yes, course info video. The title will be .number of videos. And we say video. If it's more than one, it will be videos. The subtitle will be, let's say, watch our tutorial videos for the course.title. So for Dart, for Flutter, for Python, whatever. Now on tap, we will actually push named. So navigator of context dot push named. And when we're pushing to that route, we also want to pass this course over to that route. So that route, for example, if it was videos, we would use that course to fetch all of the videos for that course from the server, for example. So course, pass that course as the argument. So we will fix this later when we build out the video details and so forth and so on. But let's save this for now. So if we've got some videos, but we haven't built out the tile, so let's build out the tile then. So it's a size box. Let's give it height and width 48. Child will be an image to asset with the image that we've taken in the constructor. Let's save this. Nice, no, that's too small. Constant size box with width 10. And we can have a column with the title and the subtitle. Cross-axis alignment will be start for both of them. Children will be text with the title, and the style will be a text style with font weight medium. Now the subtitle will also, no, let's add some space between them. Let's save this first. Add constant. So 2 videos. Now the subtitle now we can have the style to be a text style with font size. Let's make it small, so 12. Font weight, let's leave it at regular. The color, however, let's make it grey or something like grey. The neutral text color looks grayish. Yeah, so watch our tutorial videos for Dart. But I don't like this image. Pushed up to the top, too small. So I could cross-axis alignment, center. It's already centered by default. Yeah, value. This is a default value, so remove argument. What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? All right, wait. I know what to do. Let's wrap this in a. Let me transform this. Wrap with a widget. Transform.scale. Now the scale will be 1.50 or something. See if 1.50 does. Ah, my, too big. 1.48. That's slow. Not too. I can't spot too much of a difference though. But let's leave it at that. Let's add it a little bit. Still looks pushed up a little bit. So let's wrap it with padding on the top. So only top is A enough. Yeah, pretty decent. Let me reduce that a little bit. That's better. So that's that. So we've built out the course info tile. We can go back and so this is it for if the videos if the video contain if we have any videos basically. Now we could also do the same for the exams. So if course.exams can duplicate this, if course.number of exams is greater than 0, then we add a size box on the top. So the reason why I'm adding this size box here, I'm leaving this size box here would be what if videos was 0, but then exams wasn't 0, so there will be nothing here. So we also need to add this size box to separate, to put some divider between this tile and the title and the section header. But then you might think, why don't we put this here? If you put this here and then leave it out of these, then it means that automatically there will be that space whether there was a video there or not, or whether there was something else there or not, basically. Instead of putting this size box in each section or in each list, we can just put it here because at this point we're very sure if we're even going to render the title, then we're sure that there's something available. There's either a material or videos or something. But no, if we do that and remove it from here, then we would also have to remove it from here, meaning that after this, then there will be nothing else. So if after this, then we have this, then there will also not be any space between these two. So meaning we would also have to go and add another size box over here, meaning that if there was no videos but there was exams, then we will have too much space because we will have this 10 and have this. So I think the other way was better. You can try that out. It will actually add too much space for you. So for this one, we've got course info exam, and this will be course dot number of exams. Remember, copy pasting is dangerous. Exams. We could literally make silly errors. Right? So this would be take our exams for. Let's cut this all the way back there for Dart. Take our exams for Dart, and on tapped, go to course exams, whatever. And we can duplicate this once more, and this time number of materials. So you can see if course image media res, it would be course info material, course dot number of materials, and we've got materials. We can change this to say, let's leave in the 4 actually. So we've got access to course dot number of materials. But what if wait, let's do that. Materials for that course, basically. So I don't, on the Figma design, it doesn't say access to maybe 10 or 20. It actually says access to over blah 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 blah. So if you wanted such a feature, if it was about 100, then it would be access to over 100. Meanwhile, we actually have exactly 100. Let me show you what I mean. So if we overrode this and we overrode number of materials and we had 20, then it would actually say access to over 20 materials. But we don't have over 20 materials. We have only 20 materials. We have exactly 20 materials. So we have to change this, the logic for rendering this. So I'm going to create an extension and write a different logic for estimating the value. So new dart file, int extensions, extension int ext on the integer. Now string get estimate. Now if the integer that we're referring to is less than 10, just return the integer, this. So it would be access to 10 materials. Sorry, access to 10 materials, right? Else we return over, then we estimate. And how are we going to do that? We could do this, and we absolutely divide that by 10. I think I should multiply that by 10. That should get us the estimate. So if we come back here, we use course.materials, access to course.materials.estimate. Back to the next line. So if we had 9 less than 10, meaning like 9 or so, let's see the estimate we get over here. No, this isn't working. My estimate is not working. So wait. Done this, divided by 10 times 10. If it was less than 10, return this. Alright, let's try it if it was less than 10 actually. So for example, if it was 9, if you had only 9, then it would be access to 9 materials exactly. Beautiful. But if it was about greater than 9 or greater than 10, we should have an estimate. But my estimation is not working. Now I think this logic would work if for example this was 22, then we would have access to over 20 materials. Yeah? Yes. So if we were at 19 or something, we'd have access to over 10 materials. Yes. But this logic fails. Even 11 would say access to over 10 materials. But this logic fails when we're at the round number, when we're at the exact number. So for example, if we're at 10, this logic will fail. We'll have 10 and also have access to over 10 materials here when we only have 10. If we had 20, then it would say exactly 20. So let's go ahead and rewrite this a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, I don't like that. So let's first of all make this greater than or equal to 10. So if this is greater than or equal to 10, we can say access to 10 materials, access to 9 materials, and so forth. But once it goes over 10, let's change our logic. So now the variable data, the data will return will be this minus this modulo 10. So guess this minus the remainder of this by 10. Now, at that point, this would return us, like, say, if it was 20, it would return us 20. If it was 22, it would return us, let's see what it would return us. So, return over data. That says we'll still have 20. Yeah, so this works similar to what we had before. But in order to consider when we had the exact number, so for example, 20 by 20, let's say about minus 5. So if it was 20, it would be 15. We have access to over 15 materials. Let me see. I think my phone's dead. No, it's not. All right. Yeah, so I think that worked. 20. No. So 22 still remains 20. Access to over 20 materials. Let's try 20 and save. Hot reload is no longer working. Let me. Yes. So when we yes. So when we have 20, we have 15. When we have 22, we have over 20. When we have 30, we would have 25 actually. So let's see. 25. Beautiful. Perfect. So my logic's worked. So let's leave that as this. Let's also add for exams. Number of exams would be, say, 3 exams. Let's reload 3 exams, take our exams for Dart, and that's it. So that's done. That's the rest of the screen built out. Let's go ahead and implement the detail view for each of these courses. So where is it? So video details, exams details, and material details. In order to see the details, we would first have to build out functionalities for fetching these things from the server. We'll also have to add functionalities for adding stuff to the server. So adding materials, adding exams, and adding videos. So before those can happen, however, we have to go and write their functionalities. We already have a features folder over here. I've deleted the copy with thingy that I've done here because at this point we no longer need it. We're actually going to implement the proper thing. So let's start from the videos. Pause details, close out. Now we can go into the videos folder and create a new directory, domain, create a new directory data. We also do copy these and paste them in materials and in exams because we need them, we really do. So we start from video. Now for videos, we can create a new data file, entities. We've got video.dart. Let's expand this because we don't need the UI at this point. So for the video will be class video sends equatable. Now constant video. We can add the constructor later. Now what do we need for the videos? Now a video contains an ID. A video contains thumbnail video. Final string. Now let's make the video URL. If it's a video, it definitely should have a video URL. A video will have title, a video will have a tutor, a video will also have course ID, a video will have date, time, let's call that upload date. Thumbnail could either be from a file, right? Because thumbnail could be a file, could it? Let's see. The thumbnail can be a file because I'm thinking about this. When we have a YouTube video, we will use a YouTube package to automatically fetch the thumbnail, which I think is not a file. Is it a file though? It doesn't matter. Let's go ahead and do this. So for thumbnail is file. A video could be equal to another video by its ID, so we could go ahead and create a constructor. I'm removing this and generating the constructor. So generate a named argument constructor. Add required first. Format, move this before other properties for the members. Format again. And add an empty version. So video.empty. Now it will return this with ID being empty.id. Video URL will be empty.video URL. We have the upload date, which will be date time dot now. We have the course ID, which will be empty.course ID. The rest of them can be null, I think. What is the problem? Thumbnail is file could be by default false, so this thumbnail is file could be false by default. Right. Blah blah blah. So everything's done. We can go ahead and build the repository. What do we need? So I'm going to tell you the functionalities that we're going to have for the repository, and you're going to try and build it out yourself. So we'll have a get videos. It will return us a list of videos, and it will take the course ID. So it will take the course ID, go to the server, find the course ID, and find every video that lives in that course ID, at that course ID's location. It will also have an add video. It returns void, and it will. What could it take? So when we're adding a video where I'm going to construct, we shall construct a video object and pass it down to the add video, and it will deconstruct that video and send it up to the server as a map. So blah 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 video. Alright, so this is one way to do it. So let's entities blah blah blah. Domain new repos. You can pause the video and try to add it yourself. Repos video repo.dart. Now you can see my comment here in the source code. You could go ahead and try making this a stream after we complete this course, but I'm only going to put stream functionality for my group chat because that's necessary. But for the rest of them, stream is too much work, really. That's why I'm avoiding it so badly in this tutorial. It will make this super long. So please forgive me for using futures instead of streams the proper way. So I'm going to create their use cases as well. So bear with me. I've written my use cases and the tests for them. So this is my get videos, this is my add video, this is my get videos test, this is my add videos video test. This is my video repository mock. You can see them in the source code if you want to, or you can go ahead and write them yourself if you so wish to, if you want to remember anything at all. So right here you can see that when I've expected that it's a right dynamic list of video instead of checking if the result is a list of T video. This is because, remember, lists in Dart work weirdly when we're checking for the quality. So I've just left it this way using it's a matcher. So that is the use case is done. Let's move over to the data layer. That's all for my domain layer. Close down the domain and the test. Yep, domain done. Moving on to the data layer. Let's implement the data layer as well. Models / video model. Import video. Video is imported. So we create a constructor for super, which is not enough because when you do it this way, it actually skips the non-required counterpart. So what I usually do is I just ignore this. Already taught you. Go to the video, copy its constructor, come back here and rename to super. So every this turns into super. Replace all. That's it. Now you have a happy constructor. You can also go back the video, close these two down. You can come back here and copy the empty, but don't forget to rename this to be a model instead of a video. So it should return a video model. The empty returns this with everything that it needs. Now the video model.from map. Let's do the copy width first because I also have to generate this because it's too long to write. We could also generate the to map and the from map, but I prefer to build that out myself because I remember some of them have timestamps and we have to save them as timestamps and then convert them to date. And also the way I handle integers is different. I first of all cast the integers as numbers and then I do .toInt or .toDouble, depending if it was a double or an integer. So, but then for the copy width, I don't mind because it does a good job with the copy width. So I go ahead and use the copy width. But then again, copy pasting in this case is also very dangerous because we've had such issues where we copied with and we forgot to change it to the model. The compiler doesn't scream at you if you leave it as a video, but when you're actually using it and you copy with, then you get back a video entity instead of video model. So your application is going to scream at you. It's going to crash, basically. So video URL, everything's complete. Let's go ahead and build out the from map and the to map. Preferably, I put my from map right here because it's also a constructor. Video model, but the copy width is not a constructor. It's just a function. It's a method. No. I'm not using the factory constructor, so I'm using super. You can use super or this. It doesn't matter. I haven't seen any difference between the both of them, but I'm just going to use super. The super actually, it might tell you that it returns video, but when you do that, it still returns a video model. So I don't know how that works, but yeah, it's whatever. Because if it was returning us a video, then this shouldn't let us return super, because super in this case would not match the constraint of a video model. So, but let's go ahead and ID will be map at ID as a string. Thumbnail will be map. No, it's video URL. Second video URL will be map at video URL as a string. Course ID will be map at course ID as a string. What else? Upload date will be map. So for this one, we want to do typecasting, then conversion. Upload date as timestamp, then .toDate. What else? Thumbnail will be map at thumbnail Northumbria as string, but it's nullable, so it could be null. If our video thumbnail is null, we're actually gonna have. You know what? Never mind that. I was trying to say that we'd have a default thumbnail for videos without a thumbnail, but we'll get to that later. Then thumbnail is fine. We don't need that in a server. We only need that when we're communicating with a server to know whether to upload to the storage bucket or not. So the thumbnail will be that. What else have we got? The title. Map title as a nullable string. And finally, tutor will be map at tutor as a string. Now we can create the toMap. Is it toMap or the from map? We can create the toMap actually. So for that, I'm actually going to generate this. It will generate both the to and the from map, but we only need the toMap, so I'm deleting the from map. We can change this to data map. Now we want to remove this, so I'm gonna Control Shift Tab. What is it? Shift alternate rather. Shift and alternate. Tab. 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 And tap. And we hold down Shift and use the arrow keys. Select backward and hit backspace. Boom. Done. Right. So. What have we got here? A comma. So our model is complete. I'm going to go ahead and create a fixture for this model, then write a test for this model. Now I've created my what was this called? I've created my fixture. I've omitted the upload date. So we don't even need fixtures at this point because we're dealing with Firebase, but yet again we're doing this for remembrance. So the reason why I'm omitting the upload date is because we remember what happened before when we were creating that test. So let's go ahead and create the test for the video model. So it will be video model test.dart cancel. Close up this bad boy and create our test. Now remember what happened when we had a test for, was it calls? I think it was calls. No, not data sources, models. This was the issue. We had this little issue. So let's go ahead and use the same setup that we've used over here up to this point, even up to this point actually. Yeah, so this is our entire setup. Let's take this setup, close this up. No, we don't close that up actually, because we also need to do this when we're doing the toMap. So we can go back to our video model test, void main paste, cloud firestore, false model. Wait a minute, I think I have an idea. We could actually mock the field value Could we? It's just an idea that's just popped into my head. Wait, mock field value, extends mock, implement. So that way we can actually create our own field value. Field value. No, that doesn't make sense. I don't think it will work either ways, because even if we had a field value, we still need. Could we actually use that mock field value to create? Nah, it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. Never mind that. Never mind that. I'm overthinking stuff. So we import our picture reader, our JSON dart convert, data map, and we change this from course to video.json. And that's it. Now we start writing our test. I'm going to write the test and then also do the same thing for the to map as we did in the previous test for the other thingies. Now I've written the test the way we usually write them. I changed the course model over here to video model, and I started from the first test for every model if it's actually an entity, if it's actually a subclass of the actual entity. And then we have our groups for each one. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you, mate? Now for the to map, it's actually going to fail for obvious reasons. Yes. Yeah, so that's that. So let's run the test. We're going to copy the same thing that we've done in the to map over here, where we overrode the to map that we had here. Even the from map is failing this time. Wow. Type null is not a subtype of type. Timestamp. So this is what I guess is happening. So there's no timestamp from the tmap. It wasn't created at and updated at. You see problems with copy pasting. So over here we're expecting actually upload date, not created at or uploaded at. So we replace that and we run the test again. That's worked. Now the only problem we have is the same problem we had before, where the timestamp weren't matching. Open to map. Now in this case, the expected, a tmap contained a timestamp. The result to map actually contained a date time. Oh, my bad. I didn't change this. So this was actually meant to be, the upload date was meant to be field value.server timestamp. So let's run that again and change the type of error that we get. So yes, so change that, and this time the type of error that we get is this person's using a field value and the other person is using a timestamp. Now this is the field value I was trying to create a mock for. Then it's meant to contain an instance of a method channel field value. So we would have had to create another instance of a mock version of this type. And maybe it also contains another thing that we also have to mock and keep mocking till we get tired. So this is why I've ignored that. So let's go ahead and use the same format we used here. So we overrode the blah 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 paste. This time the video model.toMap.remove the upload date. We do remove this because there's nothing like that. Over here we also remove the upload date and make sure that they're equal. So let's run the test one more time. Hopefully it passes this time. No, it doesn't pass. Wow. So what's the problem this time? So the actual contains thumbnail is false. It has an extra key. So you see the test is telling us what's wrong. It has a different length and has an extra map key. Thumbnail is file. So the actual being the result when we convert to map is actually converting the oh my. The generator actually generated this for us, so that's why we're having issues. If we wrote it ourselves, then we would have remembered that the thumbnail is file was not meant to go or come from the server, but as our private thingy. So you can see how the test has saved us. I would have actually left this that way I actually would have left the thumbnail as file, and I would have left this to be a Flutter datetime, which would have caused errors in our server when matching datetimes across user devices. So this is how tests help us. The test failed, and we corrected stuff which we would have never found, would have ignored it, and would have had issues in our project. And it will be very difficult to find such issues because it doesn't throw any particular error. Show us. It doesn't compile it, lets it pass by. So that's enough talking. Before I digress, so let's go into the data and still create a new data file. This time, repos video, repo implementation, class video, repo implementation, implement video repository. Boom. Now we override everything. Create two missing overrides, async, constant, video repository implementation, which will ask for a data source. Final video remote data src, which will be remote data src. We could go ahead and create that as well, only the contract actually, because we're doing test driven development, so we don't have to create the entire thingy. We're also using clean architecture, so it will let us create a contract without actually implementing it and use it in the layer where we need it. So I've put that in the wrong place. New directory, data sources. Data sources, push and pull. Now that's it. Import the video remote data source. Come on, mate. Oh, we haven't written it yet. So we have an abstract class video remote data source. No, it doesn't extend anything. We have a future list of video model. Remember, always use models that get videos. Takes a string, course ID. I don't know. I'm actually not sure of what I'm writing. Give me a second before I write the wrong thing. So it takes a course ID, and this one takes video. So the second one returns a void, and it's add video, and we take that video. Remember, the params or the arguments can be the actual entity and not the model. So we've got our video remote data source. We can video remote data source here, and we can go and start writing the test for that. We right click, new .test file, video repo implementation. Mock video remote data source, which is our dependency. We always mock our dependencies. Mock implement video remote data source. Now that's it for the mock dependency. Close this down. So we're going to start setting up. So let's create our setup. Void main. I've completed my setup, so I can start with my test. So the first test will be group, add video. And the first test will check if what it returns when the portal remote source has completed successfully. Add video will return void. We could go back to our repository implementation and make that test pass. So remote data source to add video, pass in the video, make sure that everything works correctly, return right null. Constant video repository implementation, we can run the entire test, see if it passes, and while that runs, we could go ahead and write the second test as well. Yeah, that passes. So my second test has been written. We go ahead and catch every error. Oh no, cut from the wrong part. Try catch. Try this and catch on server exception. Catch E. Return left server failure. Got from exception E. And now rerun that test. See that test pass. Beautiful. So both of them pass. So I'm going to do the same for my. So this is the group add video. I'm going to do the same for my get videos. So the first test will also do the same thing, check what happens when there's success. We want to make sure that it returns a list of videos, whether it's empty or not, we don't care. So we also want to make sure that the remote data source got called, and after that there was no more interactions with the remote data source. Let's go ahead and implement that. So final result, because it returns something, will be await remote source dot get videos. We pass in the course ID, so we want to make sure that it gets called the same course ID that we have over there. Now we return right result, being the list that we've just acquired. So we can run that test and see that it passes. Does it pass? Please pass. Yes, it passes. So we could go ahead and write our second test as well. And that's our second test for handling exceptions. We can cut this, try catch on, let's just copy this over. So this is the beauty of architecture. When you've got an architecture, you have almost everything is similar actually. So you could even copy another video repository implementation and use it here. Also, it makes it so that you have to what you have to learn is controls. It's limited basically. So you only need to know how to test these particular. So you need to know how to test a repository implementation once, and there's no other. You don't have to learn a different way to write tests for it. So just knowing how to write tests for a video repository, from a repository implementation, you can write as many tests for any repository implementation you've got. You know what test to write for each individual module in your application. So also you've got this similarity so that nothing confuses you basically. So if you see this in any of your code, maybe an old code, yes, the repository implementation does exactly this and it does exactly that. If something fails, you know exactly where to go, and you're mostly not confused with your own code. Also, you can see how short most of our modules are. They have separated concerns. They have their own things to be concerned about. So that way we've got shorter, cleaner code. This is why it's called clean code. One of the reasons why it's called clean code, actually, not the main reason. So we could go ahead and also write the implementation for this one. Video remote data source implementation. Implement the video remote data source. This, my friend, will take 32 meter overrides async. For this boy, will take I think we also need the storage here. Yes, if the thumbnail is a file, so we also need storage. So I'm taking final. What do we need? Firebase. final Firebase Firestore Firestore final Firebase storage. Finally create the constructor. Wait, can I generate constructor for this? Let's see how this works. Where is it? What has it done? Wow. Well, that's pretty decent, really. It's actually done it for us. Wow. Alright. New things. We learn new things every day, so that works. But even this privatized constructor stuff. Privatized members, rather. Then we go ahead and start doing our test-driven development, writing the tests before we actually implement them. Now, the first test I want to write would be, first of all, let's set up the test actually. So new, let me copy the path because this is pretty long. So copy the name and tap on the file, create new Dart test file, remove the .dart, create that file. Now, for our setup, void main, I'm just going to copy what we had for the course because it's literally the same thing that we're going to do over and over. So course data sources, course remote data source. I'm closing out every other thing. Close tabs to the right and you close tabs to the left. Beautiful. So we've only got two. So now the course remote data source, let's copy this setup. Remote data source. Yeah, whatever. Let's copy from here rather. Close that up. Paste. We don't need the course remote data source. We need the video remote data source. We import fake Firebase, mock Firebase auth, mock Firebase storage, the setup Flutter test, mock Google sign-in, Google auth provider from the Firebase auth package, and that's it. Close you up. What's wrong here? Don't we have this? Wait a minute. I copied everything up to this point, but I didn't close the setup. Oh, I see. So what's your problem then? Expected to find... What am I missing? What am I missing? What am I missing? I've closed the storage. This, that. Oh, I see. I haven't closed the setup yet. Boom. So that's our setup done. Oh, we haven't initialized the remote data source yet. So the remote data source will be equal to video remote data source implementation, which will take auth, firestore, and storage. And now the test. So, however, after doing this actually, remember that for this to work, for any video to work, there has to be a course that lives on the server. Because what we're going to be doing is to find a course, and in that course's sub-collection. So, for example, when we're adding a course, so when we're adding a video rather, we take the course ID. So we go and find that course ID in the server, and then in that course ID's document, we'll create a sub-document, a sub-collection. And in that sub-collection, the collection will be called videos. So we'll have a sub-collection for the videos, for our materials, for our exams. So we go in the course and then create them. So for that to happen, we actually need to have a course existing. So let's go ahead and do that. So await firestore.collection at courses.document and we add the video. Let's create a video. .mt. Right. So no, I should do this in a setup actually. So meaning my setup has to be async, which it is. So what's the problem? So document dvideo to map. No, wait. The document at tvideo.course ID rather. Now the video of a course ID dot set a course model dot mt dot. We change the video ID of that. It's got ID yet, so we can use the video ID dot course ID dot to map. So this is what we're doing. We're setting up. This is one of our arrangements. We're setting up for all courses. For all tests, not for all courses. So for example, add video test. The add video functionality itself in the video remote data source itself will actually try to go and visit the Firestore at collection courses, and then it will find the course by the course ID and get every video in there. This one will also check the video's course ID, because the video will have a course ID, and then add the video into that course ID. So if we don't have anything set up, then the Firestore is going to throw us an error. So this is why we're setting up something for both the test and this to work. So you'll understand that let's comment this out so we can run a test and you can see that it will fail. So now the first test should be a group add video. Now we're adding video. Our first test should add the provided video to the Firestore. Beautiful. So should add the provided video to the Firestore. So we await for remote data source to add video and T video. So our remember I told you can act first to find your arrangement. So we've acted. This is my T video. It's right there. Oh, I have to put this out here. So we've got our T video. So what do we need? We need a T video. We've already arranged that at the top. So to go ahead and say that we could go ahead and then test, right? We're testing or asserting. So before our assertion, we have to fetch the video from the video collection from the Firestore. So now final collection reference will be await Firestore dot collection. I could easily just do remote data source dot get videos to get all the videos, but we haven't written a test for that yet. So before we write a test, I don't like using the functionality in another test till we've tested it. Firestore dot collection courses dot document dvideo dot course ID dot collection videos dot get. Now this would get us our collection, our videos collection. Now we want to expect that the video reference, the video collection ref dot docs dot length is 1. There's only one video in there. And we also want to confirm that the video collection ref dot docs dot first dot no, .data actually at. Now, what properties do we have in a video? Let's see what property we can check for. So, a video model has ID, video URL, the course ID. So, its course ID should be the same, and also what else should be the same? The title should be the same. So, the title should be the same with the video's title. So, title video dvideo.title. So you can see that this will actually fail. Why? Because we haven't implemented this yet. So we'll go ahead and implement this functionality. Come on, work. Yes, unimplemented error. So this is the first error we encounter, an unimplemented one. So let's implement. Now the first thing I'm going to do for my implementation will be my authentication. So let me find my course data sources. This thing over here. Now we can final video reference will be equal to firestore courses dot document at video dot course ID. So we're going into the course into the course dot collection. And what collection are we going into? We're going into videos collection. Now in the videos collection, we want to get a document, a fresh document. We get that fresh document. Now we get our video model. Video model will be equal to our video as a video model dot copy with the ID video ref dot ID. Now this should be enough to make the test pass, but we're not checking for whether the thumbnail was uploaded to the storage and so forth and so on. So, but we're just going to implement that, however. Anyways, so if video model dot thumbnail is file, final thumbnail file reference will be, let's add that to the storage. So that storage dot ref child, and we put the path where we want to do that. Now the course remote data source has some path, so let's do something similar. So we're also going to add that to the courses section, the courses folder, directory, whatever you want to call that. So in this case, we're using the courses slash video model instead of the ID. This time we use the course ID, and instead of profile images, we add it rather to videos slash video model.id, because at this point we've changed the ID to be the ID of the reference, or we could just go ahead and use the video ref.id, whatever, whichever one. They'll both do the same thing. Slash thumbnail. Yeah. Oh no. So this is a thumbnail for that particular video. Now we have to story.child. Where does my child end? Oh, I've made a silly mistake. Yeah, so we have this here. Then we await the thumbnail ref file ref dot put file, and the file will be a file with the video model dot thumbnail. Because at this point, if it's a file, then we're sure that we're going to put the file path in there. Then value async, the final URL will be equal to, let's say, await value.ref dot get download URL, right? Yes, perfect. And then finally, we can change the video model to be equal to the video model dot copy with. We're copying this time with the thumbnail to be the URL that we've just got. So where is this? We're in the if statement, so we exit this if statement. And down here we await video ref dot set the video model dot toMap. Then finally we await for the Firestore dot collection courses dot document at video dot course ID dot update. Now we're trying to update the number of videos, remember, so we can update the value at number of videos for the course. How are we going to do that? We will use field value dot increment by 1. Why are we doing it this way? If we don't do it this way, the other alternative would be to first of all get the course document, check the number of videos that already exist there, and then get it, add one to it, and place it here. But using field value.increment will actually take care of all that for us in the server. So this is the beauty of Firebase. It makes all of these super easy to handle. So let's go ahead and copy our error handling from this person. So on Firebase exception and whatever, blah blah blah, we use the same thingy over and over again. Video remote data source, where is it? Paste. First of all, we wrap this in a try catch. And that's it. So now we can run this, but we can see that this will fail. We actually have to check if the field value was incremented by 1 actually. So let's see. You can see that this will fail with server exceptions and requested document was not found because there was no course actually. So this is why I've done this arrangement for everyone. So you just set up and add a course. That's it. So this should work this time. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it works. Now we can also try and fetch. So final course ref will be equal to await firestore dot collection at courses dot document the video dot course ID dot get. Now we can get this. We can get this document and we can expect that course ref. So by default, the course model that we added had 0. Yeah, 0 number of videos. So we can expect that the course ref dot data at number of videos has gone +1 equals 1, or you could just say 1. So we can run that test. No, wait. It has to be. Yes, sorry. I'm sorry. Not nullable. So expected 1, actual 0. So we can see there's a problem then, yeah? So we went to the courses at dvideo.course ID and we got the document. However, the document wasn't being incremented. Why? Let's see. So in the remote data source, we get this at the video.course ID. But we never changed the course ID actually, so it should remain the same. The updates number of videos. Number of videos rather, not number of video. You can see how tests are important. Yet again, I would have... This is why I dislike working with strings. You can easily miss something. The compiler doesn't scream at you, but your code just won't work. So again, my tester saves me. If I didn't test that, then I wouldn't have caught that issue. So that's it for this test. I believe that's enough for add video, hopefully. So no, I don't think that's enough actually. Or the thumbnail. Should we check if the thumbnail got added to the storage? Let's do that. Let's just for fun, just for the fun of it. So we can go and check. Let's do that here actually. So after all that is done, yeah. Should we add a thumbnail file? So if the thumbnail is file, so let's write a different test where the thumbnail is a file instead of doing that here. Because over here the thumbnail will be a URL. So a test should add the provided thumbnail to the storage if it is a file. Now we can say final thumbnail file will be equal to a file, and we can use one of our assets. So let's use it'll be a file from Dart.io. We can add the asset, background, whatever. So we save that thumbnail file. Now we can see our final video will be equal to tvideo.copywith thumbnail file will be true, and the thumbnail will be equal to thumbnail file.path. Now we can act. So we've arranged. Now we can act. So we can act and say that await for the remote data source.add video. Then we can try and fetch the video yet again. So we can say our videos collection reference will be this. Now we can expect that the collection reference .docs .length again is 1. We don't have to do this because we've already tested this and we know it actually adds them. So now let's save our saved video. So saved video will be equal to collection ref.docs.first.data. Now I actually want to check to expect, where is it? Expect that the saved video at thumbnail equals what? How do we know the URL that was saved in the storage? Remember, this has been put in the bucket. So this thumbnail has been converted and put in the bucket, and we receive a download URL which happens in here. We don't have access to it, so how do we get it back here? So we can go ahead and fetch it actually. You can actually fetch it. So we can go and say final thumbnail URL will be equal to await for the storage.ref.child. Now we can go to a remote source and copy the path of the thumbnail and get its URL. You can see we've got the path, paste that. Now we don't have a video model, but we have a tvideo.course ID, and we also have a video ref.id. The video ref will be, so meaning that at the point when we save the video in the actual remote data source, so that wouldn't actually work because in there the ID of the video has changed, so it won't be the same as our T video. What do we do? boy, oh boy. Now we're in trouble. We're in huge trouble. Video file. Causes a thumbnail. How can we get access to that? Down to that video ID in there. So in our saved video, yes. We can actually get access to it because our saved video will actually have the data in there. So yes, our saved video at ID should be yeah. So our saved video at ID should have the same ID for the video actually. So that would work. So we can close this up and check that it's equal to the thumbnail URL. Now we get download URL for this. That's it. We can add a comma and we can run this test to make sure that this got added. Yes, perfect, works. So why don't we write one more test? Yeah, so everything passes. Let's go ahead and write a test for the get videos. So the get videos should be pretty easy. It's what we've already been doing before, so I'm just going to skip to when I've completed the test. So I've written a test for get videos and I've put some comments here for you. So because it's difficult to simulate an error when there's an error, we're just going to blah blah blah, do whatever. Yeah. So our thumbnail should be equal and whatnot. So let's go ahead and write the actual implementation of a get video. So in my video remote data source, we can have a try catch. My catcher paste. Now the final video. No, first of all, before you get a video, we have to verify you as the user. I should actually save this somewhere and always just call that function verify user before I do this. So let's go over to my core utils. Core utils. No, I don't want this to be here. Should it be in my utility? It should only be available for data sources actually. Let's put it. No. Let's not put it here. Let's create a separate new, not common core. Still under utils. Let's create a data source utils. We can have class data source utils. Constant data source utils dot underscore static place this. No, we have to create a function. So this function will actually return void. So future void not authentication, it's authorized user. So we can take the auth from here, Firebase auth, instance auth, and take that auth dot current user. If there's an error, throw an exception, and that's it. So we can just authorize user over and over again. So we can just say data source utils dot authorize user, and we pass in the underscore auth. Add a wait. And copy this. Replace it here so we have a shorter authorization code. Beautiful, perfect. So with that done, we can go ahead and carry on. So final videos reference will be firestore.collection.courses.document at course ID .collection videos. The collection will be videos. So in the videos collection, we can final videos will be equal to await. You know what? Why don't we just do that in one line? Videos will be equal to await this dot get, and format that, and we can say return videos dot docs dot map each video data, each document actually, and return a video model dot from map, and we can return document dot data and the map dot to list. Create job. So let's run the entire test again and hopefully this time it passes. Add video. What about my get videos? Let's run the entire thing. Yes. So this is it for our remote data source. The testing is done. We're gonna do the same thing for the BLoC. For the BLoC, I'm not going to show anything. I'm just going to skip through everything because it's the same thing actually. So, testing is not for the weak of mind, really. I've created the presentation in Qubit, and now I'm about to create a new Qubit class, video, and we use equatable. Okay. Cancel. So I'm going to skip everything here. So as I already told you, it's going to be simple and similar to what we've already done. When we're adding a video, we emit this and blah blah blah. We also emit loading videos and emit the videos that we've loaded. And we've also got similar stuff in our state. You could go ahead and also use a single state or a single class state. So that way you can just have video state dot initial dot adding video dot loading video, whatever. It's just however the BLoC works for you. You could go ahead and use a different application logic or business logic folder. So for our case, we're using the Qubit, and let's go ahead and write the test for the Qubit. So video Qubit, and this is it, video Qubit. I'm going to write the test as we already know how to. I've completed my test and they all pass, and this is the test that I've written. I have my dependencies mocked. I've set up everything with my tear down initial state tested, as we do for every BLoC or for every Qubit. We've also got the group add video. We test when there's an error and when there's no errors. We also do the same for the get videos, as you already know how to. You can find these in the source code. So let's go ahead and inject our dependencies. So boom, close this. Injection container. Main. Come on, mate. Boom. So we await init video. And we can future void. I'm skipping through this part as well because you already know how to do this. I've completed my video dependency injection. We can go to the video view, however. I don't think I need this to be my router, do I? I probably do though. So in my router, I'll actually be injecting the video Qubit. I might also need the video Qubit on my home page. So in my router, have I got a home page? router.main rather. So close this down. Now I've got course details. Course details does not need that. The home page is a view, yes, so we don't need it here. So we can go over to our dashboard controller. I think I've injected that there rather. Home. There it is. So we can convert this to a multi-provider because we need that. We need videos on the home page, so we can convert to multi-provider. Is there a convert? There used to be a convert to multi-provider. Don't know what's happened to that really. So let's just cut this out. So tab item child BLoC provider. We can use a multi-provider BLoC provider. This will have some providers. We have this. I'm cutting the child out. Now you will have a comma. We can duplicate and we can say video qubit. Boom, done. I don't think there's anyone else who needs a video qubit, so we're gonna ignore that for now. This person needs, no, you don't need it. So after that, we can go ahead and do the same for material and exams. So the same process that we've gone through, we're going to do the same thing for material and exams. You probably don't want to watch me do all that from scratch anymore. So I'm just going to skip through and just walk you through the code for the material, everything, the layers and everything, and also the same for the exams.